streaming. Here, let me make sure my stream is good. Are we live yet? It's hard to tell if we're live yet. Oh, wait. I think I see myself.
Yes.
I think I'm live. Uh-oh. You guys know what that means.
Yeah.
Do you see me live?
Yeah, you're good.
Do you
I can hear you.
hear me too? Okay, that's great. All right, we're ready to rock. Hang on, let me get situated here. Oh, did my camera just stop recording?
Yeah, no space on the memory card.
Okay, that's all right. Well, I guess my memory card's full. Well, greetings, everybody. I'm not sure how we're going to record the camera, but the OBS will record it. What's up, everybody? I'm trying to see my live chat. How do I get into my own live stream here? Ooh, I can hear myself nicely. That's cool. Let's see. How do I do my own live stream? Live? Oh, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm trying to figure out how to get my own live stream going here so I can see the comments. Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties. Can you just get me the iPad that's logged into the other iPad? And you know how we have another iPad in the closet downstairs? Maybe just getting me an iPad that's logged into a different YouTube channel will solve it. Hey guys, I can't see your comments yet, but welcome to today's live stream. I really appreciate you guys being here. And see if there's like a charger you can bring up with it, because it might be dead. Like a laptop charger would work. What's up, everybody? Hopefully we got some people in the chat here. Very special day. It's my first time doing a late night live stream ever. I wonder if I could switch out. Sorry, I'm trying to see my chat here so I can answer your guys' questions, because today we're going to be doing an Ask Me Anything, so I really want to be able to see your questions. Just trying to figure out why I'm not allowed to watch my own live stream from my own YouTube channel. Let's see. 1 second, guys. Some technical difficulties, but at least you can hear me and see me live.
No one's really commenting anything.
Let's see. 1 second, guys. We're about to get a different iPad going here.
There's no comments really.
We'll get started in just a second. Is there YouTube? Hey. And we'll just turn the volume down on this one. On the top. There we go. Hey. And we'll just turn the... What's up, everybody? What's up? Oh, there we go. Now I can see you guys' comments. Dex Music. Ah, our old friend Dex. Good to see you. What's up, Dex? And Danielle. What's up, Danielle? Hey. And Shredder. Hey, Shredder. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, Shredder. What's up? Oh, and Steven Gerrard is here, too. Man, Steven Gerrard. It's been a while. Me and Steven Gerrard go way back. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to my live stream. Hey, and our friend Max is in the building. Hey, Max. It's been a while. We all love Max. Wow, what a good evening for a live stream. Hello. We're just waiting for a few more people to fill in. But before we get started, I'll just shout out, we have a promo code going right now for 50% off all sales at wholeloops.com. All you have to do is type in the promo code LIVESTREAM, and you got yourself a fresh discount on all the hottest sauce. We got Basith95. Man, good to have you here. Great to see everybody. Our old friend Jazz. Hey, Jazz. Good to see you. Wow. All the homies. Great to be spending this, let's see, what day is it? Wednesday? Tuesday? Great to be spending this Tuesday evening with you guys.
Like your producer in the back.
Kara's here helping me make sure the live stream goes smooth. Thanks to her, I can see your comments right now. Someone says, "Hey Reid, how are you?" Oh yeah, I do have some questions. Let's dig into some of our first questions. Thanks, Kara, for helping keep the show on track. Let's see. How can I learn mixing and mastering in the right way? I make beats and I record. I can't be producer to make. Let's see. I can't be producer to make a good song. Let me just take the first half. I don't know. Maybe there was a typo in the second half. How can I learn mixing and mastering in the right way? I make beats and I record. Well, I would say focus on the source material more so than trying to learn mixing and mastering. There was a long portion of my career where I just used the same limiter on every song because I just didn't care. And I just focused more on what the song itself sounded like. And likewise with recording, if your recording quality doesn't sound so good, maybe you got to focus on your recording techniques. Let's see. I'm not worried about being centered. It's a lost cause.
You're like looking off to the distance.
That's all right. That's where my comments are. How am I supposed to read the comments? Sorry. My producer here is trying to tell me to look into the camera, but then I can't read the comments. Let's see. What inspired your persona? Well, honestly, I'm kind of just me. I'm not sure there was like any... I'm not sure there was any direct inspiration. It's just like genetics and like, you know, the environment I grew up in contributed a lot to my music that I, you know, loved. And I don't know, that's a tough question. That's a deep question to answer. How did I become me? Let's see. Someone's asking, will I produce some EDM? Actually, we have a whole album of EDM bangers coming out that I produced with Kara called Booty Music EP. Be on the lookout for that. The first single drops. First single drops. Let's see. When is the first single? Friday. Yeah, Friday this week. That's in 4 days.
Lazy drops Friday.
Boom. Oh yeah. Speaking of that, I forgot to play my intro music. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can
your intro.
get my intro music going again. There we go. Hey, welcome to the live stream, everybody. Now that we have some people here, we'll just start over again.
The worst live stream ever.
Just got to play my quick intro song. What up, everybody? Welcome to the Realest live stream of the game, where we're answering all of your music production questions about making beats, mixing beats, mastering beats, recording vocals over beats. All that. All right. That's enough of the music. Let's get back to some questions. I'm your host, Reid Stefan, Realest puppet in the game, and today we are answering your questions live. Man, it's been a long time since we've done a live stream. Sorry if this... I know. Sorry if this completely falls off the rails. It's my first time back in a while.
But we're going to be back regularly now.
That's right. Let's see. Someone asked if I've ever used the Warm Audio 800 or 8000 mic. It emulates the Sony C800G. No, I have not. Unfortunately, I would love to. If they send me one, I'll totally compare it, but they just haven't quite sent me one yet. Let's see. Someone said, where was that comment? I was trying to, there was a good one there that I just read. Someone asked if I recently had a stroke. No, actually, I didn't. Let's see. Let's see. Reid, are you a real puppet? Yes, indeed, I am. The realest puppet in the game.
Yeah, the realest.
Oh, and by the way, for anyone who joined recently, the little banner that we have here at the bottom, we have a little flash sale going on at Whole Loops where you get 50% off of all your orders during the month of October when you use the promo code LIVESTREAM. So I wanted to do something really special for the people who came and joined me on this live stream. So a little 50% off coupon should do the sauce. Someone said, I have a feeling Kara is behind this.
Behind what?
Behind what?
The camera?
Yes, she is actually helping operate the camera today. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, Kara and I are dropping the Booty Music EP Volume 2, which is a collection of booty-shaking EDM bangers produced by yours truly. What about the SSL2 Mark II? That's a great question. I saw that drop today, but I haven't actually gotten to try it yet. I would love to try it. Someone said Muppet Beats. Thank you. I'm glad you like the intro music. I'm thinking about using that for every live stream from here on out. Have I ever made a beat on GarageBand? Definitely. Some of the earliest beats of my career were made in GarageBand. Let's see. Someone asked, what's my favorite band? That would be GarageBand. Let's see. Someone asked to do a face reveal. You ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Let's see. Who is... Let's see. Someone asked who's my inspiration again. Yeah, I really don't have a particular inspiration.
Me. I inspired the Booty Music EP.
Oh, well, obviously, Kara inspired the Booty Music EP, but someone was asking who inspired me to be the realest puppet in the game. And I would say there was no realest puppet in the game, and that's what inspired me to be the realest puppet in the game. It wasn't because somebody else was already doing it. Someone asked if I've used the iOS version of GarageBand. Not yet, bro. Maybe one day, though. Let's see. Question. Trying to read the question first. Keyboard. Wave here. Question is Ableton Live. So, some of these questions, I'm not sure if they're using a translator or something, but I just don't understand them, and I apologize. Oh, is there a cat here? Oh, this is my cat, Marco.
This is Marco.
Marco, say hi to the live stream.
Meow.
Marco loves mixing and mastering. But he mostly loves Fancy Feast.
Aww.
People said they love seeing Kara now. People want to hear the intro music one more time. Let's play it one more time.
Hey.
Hey, hey.
Hey.
I actually made this beat with a secret 808 plugin that's coming out soon. I actually reposted the teaser. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've seen the teaser for Subcraft. Hang on, let me stop this. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've seen the teaser I posted for Subcraft by UJam. This is actually one of the first beats I made with it. It's an 808 creation plugin that lets you merge kicks and 808s in phase all in the same instrument. But I'm posting the demo on that soon. Be on the lookout for that. Someone asking which DAW is good for beginners, in particular free ones. My favorite free DAW is Luna. I think it has the best graphics, the best coding, and the smoothest user experience out of any of the free DAWs that I've used. Definitely try Luna by Universal Audio. It used to be for Mac only, but now it's for Windows and Mac. Someone asked, what's a question I'd love to hear? I love mixing and mastering questions. But, it's more about what you guys are curious about. Someone said Luna is better than Waves. Well, Luna is a DAW, and Waves is a plugin suite, so I would choose both rather than like one or the other. Someone suggesting that Ableton is goated. Yeah, I can't agree with that. Ableton, in my opinion, is the GOAT. What I love about Ableton, if I had to come up with my top 3 things that I loved about Ableton that make it goated in my opinion, I would say number 1, they just dropped a fire auto-tune knockoff called Auto Pitch. And I know a couple other DAWs already have that, but I think Ableton really just did it correctly by including the little Ultra Boy kind of features in there too. I really like that. reason number 2 I love Ableton and I think that it's goated is that everything fits in one window. That's like my number 1 gripe with DAWs like FL Studio, where everything is like floating in its own separate window and somewhat visually disconnected, whereas Ableton is kind of well designed and consolidated all in one. And then reason number 3 would be the various audio samplers. I think they did the best job providing you with fun ways to sample, flip, and chop your audio. Whereas a lot of DAWs like Logic just got their first samplers recently, and Pro Tools is still yet to drop a sampler. FL Studio has some good samplers, though. But yeah, that's what I love about Ableton. The stock plugins are just so good, too. If Ableton stock plugins were third-party VSTs, I would use them a lot in other DAWs. Let's see.
What are your thoughts on vocal templates for beginner? I got vocal templates.
Let's see. What are your thoughts on... what are your thoughts on vocal templates for beginners? I would say stick to a vocal template that utilizes stock plugins. And if you're looking for a vocal template for the DAW that you use, IamKara.com has all 7 of the most popular DAWs as vocal templates with stock plugins. So definitely check out IamKara.com because each template also comes with a course on how to use it. And I think that's relatively important because just having the template without like the video from the creator about how to use it could leave you a little bit stranded and confused. Joshua asks, what level should our music be after mastering? Well, if you're talking about in dB, I master right up to 0.0 and then pull it down like ever so slightly, like 0.001. But if you're talking about LUFS, I aim for like -8 ballpark. Someone asked how to use one-shots in Luna. Well, you would have to get a third-party sampler because Luna, being a free DAW, is a little bit limited, and one of the things that it doesn't have is a sampler. So I would go to waves.com and buy the crate or create, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's spelled CR8. And I would just go buy that third-party sampler because they modeled it after Ableton, which is like the best sampler ever. So if you want to have like the Ableton sampler as a third-party plugin, get yourself the Waves crate. And that's a great sampler to use if you're in Luna or Pro Tools because those DAWs don't have a sampler. Artifacts is what I love compared to Cubase Pro stock plugins. Yeah, I'd say the plugins don't really leave you riddled with artifacts, which is quite nice in Ableton. I'm not too familiar with the Cubase ones, but I have a lot of practice with Ableton. Do you know how to make Auto-Tune stop making me log in? You know, you might have to reinstall the Auto-Tune Central application. Or if you're still on the old version of Antares Central, you might want to just delete that and replace it with Auto-Tune Central because they did recently change their licensing system. So maybe you're not on the latest. That could be a possibility. What's my favorite de-esser plugin for vocals? The Auto-Tune de-esser really impressed me this year. For years and years and years, I was using the Focusrite DS. But recently, the Auto-Tune AI-powered de-esser has been my go-to. Someone said, just finished watching another live stream and they're glad to see me. Well, I'm glad to have you here. It's been a long time since I did a live stream. I think it was like maybe 2023.
Yeah, we had a crazy year.
I know, that's wild. We've been really busy producing new stuff. We have a lot of really fun stuff coming up. A little sneak peek of what's about to come at Whole Loops. The Auto-Tune Pro course was such a bestseller. We're following it up with a Melodyne course. So if you want to learn how to tune very bad singing like mine, or very good singing like Kara's, either way, we got you covered in the Melodyne course. You're going to love it. So that's actually coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to drop that before Black Friday.
Someone asked about an Ableton course too. And
Oh yeah, Ableton course is on our to-do list as well, yeah. Yeah, let me scroll down. Some new comments have come in since we were talking about DAWs. Let's see. Scrolling through some good comments. What's your thoughts on Guitar Hero? Like the video game?
Yeah.
I haven't played the video game since I was a little kid, but I would imagine it's a good way for young people to build coordination and music skills with a nice, some nice visually stimulating graphics and digital concertscapes. Let's see. How much headroom do you use in your mixes? Well, the loudest part of my mixes is usually my kick or my 808 or my vocal, and those are going right up to about -3 dB. So that's not a lot of headroom, but I kind of make it work with that. Luke says, my video on the auto-tune AI de-esser is wicked. Thank you very much. I think you will love the results that you get if you give it a shot. Works very well. Can you come up with a course on how to mix in Ableton? Yes, I'm actually working on a song creation from start to finish. So you're going to learn how to produce first, and then mix, and then record vocals, and then mix some more, and then master. That one where you were singing with autotune is so good. Respectable. We got a whole bunch more where that came from, so I'm glad you like that. Do I have any opinion on Neuro Audio? I don't think I've ever tried them yet. I got to give that a try. Someone asks, what LUFS should you be at when mastering a pop song? I always aim for -8. Unless it's like a ballad, maybe you could get away with -9 or 10. Do we need a special code for that bundle tonight? Yes, you simply enter the promo code LIVESTREAM for 50% off your entire order at wholeloops.com. How do you do the mix dialogue for your YouTube voiceovers? That's something I don't see a lot of on YouTube, and I want to be able to do it properly. Well, it's actually much simpler than you think. Once you have what you're going to say kind of like scripted or planned out, you just plug in your mic and read it. And then from there, I just kind of edit out any breaths or mistakes or things that take away from the smooth seamlessness. And then just a de-esser and a limiter is all I use to process my voiceovers. If you have more than that in your chain, you might have possibly made a mistake. You really should just need that. Keep it nice and plain and simple. Actually, right now you're hearing me through a limiter too. I have a FabFilter Pro L2 running in my OBS, making sure that my mic is nice and loud and crispy without clipping. What reverb do you use on lead vocals these days? Great question. For short reverbs, the Slate Digital Verb Suite Classics. For medium reverbs, EMT 250, the plates. And for long reverbs, Black Hole by Eventide. Or sometimes I just get lazy and use the Ableton reverb because it sounds good for all 3 lengths. But when I'm using third-party plugins, I actually have like specific preferences for specific lengths. If I'm mixing EDM synths, I'll do Valhalla Room, but I know you're asking about vocals. Young Orange says, Realest Puppet in the game. Thank you so much. So we hit the theme song one more time. Hey, we got another Realest Puppet in the game comment. Thank you so much, everybody. I figured I'd play the realest beat in the game, too, just to kind of break up the monotony of some production questions. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. The realest puppet in the game. All these other YouTubers are lame. They're not in the game. They all look the same, but they're not the realest puppet in the game. Hey. Dropped a quick 16 for you.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Sometimes just answering questions gets a little boring. You got to hit them with a curveball.
Gotta hit him with that.
Do you prefer to track in vocals through console or through the DAW? Honestly, the console. Because setting up your vocal chain in your DAW just kind of feels like extra clicks. Once you get used to the console workflow, You're so used to just having your reverb there in your headphones waiting for you. Having that separate app running in the background for your headphone mix so that you don't have to get the latency down in your DAW or nothing. I say console all the way. Honestly, being able to track vocals deep into a project when you have your mastering plugins in there and a bunch of mixing plugins and a high buffer size is just such a luxury. So if you can get into the Apollo and console ecosystem, you're going to love it. But man, it's hard once you get used to it. It's hard to go back to anything else. Someone said, what's a good setup for BandLab vocals? If I wanted to record the best quality vocals into BandLab, I would probably use the desktop application and plug an actual audio interface into a computer and use a real condenser microphone instead of my phone mic. That'd probably be the best vocal setup. Yali asks, I need to buy a new pair of headphones. I've been following for a while and watch your recommendations for a couple. What would you say is the best overall for a music student? Well, if you had to pick one pair for everything, I would go closed back. Because that way when you're recording, you don't have a bunch of headphone bleed. Technically, the best quality for mixing and mastering is open back headphones, but when you can't use them in the vocal booth, it's like you need two pairs of headphones, and you're specifically looking for one. So I would say get a pair of closed back headphones, and for a student, you're on a small to medium budget. So I would go for the Audio-Technica ATH M50X. Great question. Ryan asks, hi Reid, I love your content. Do you suggest developing a better intuition for how to get a good mix sound? I know you've recommended Sound Gym in the past. Well, Sound Gym is a great way to exercise your ears and just familiarize yourself with all the nuances of listening and figure out where your strengths and weaknesses lie. But when it comes to putting all those strengths and weaknesses together and actually completing your mix, I would say the best way to do it is use references. There's plugins like Metric AB that lets you put your reference right there in the project and switch back and forth very easily. And the reference mix will really tell a lot. It'll help you figure out if you've balanced your vocals correctly, you're kicking 808 correctly, and it'll also help you figure out where you stand as far as loudness and overall like punchiness and dynamics goes. So best way would be like a Metric AB plugin that lets you put your reference right in your project to hear. Frank asks, Reid, what are your thoughts on your own recording studios? Truthfully, I think public recording studios are going to become a more and more rare business model. It seems like the only genre of music left that truly requires a public recording studio in a large space is bands and rock music and things that are centered around a real drum kit. Almost every other instrument you can record at home quite well. So what I think about home studios is they're rightfully taking over the game. I think everybody is wise to invest in their home studio setup before they invest in renting spaces. Now, obviously, someone traveling has limited options, and recording studio gear is large and difficult to travel with. And that's why public studios will never go anywhere and will always be used by people from every genre. But as far as people who need a studio, that's just drummers, bands with drums, like real drum kits. Or maybe like a large orchestra recording, large ensembles. Just about everything else you can do at home. Luke suggests the Sennheiser HD25s for DJing and studio use. I agree. Great price, great headphones. Great closed back option. Absolutely. Great questions. Someone asks, what do you put first when you're mastering? A limiter or a clipper? Great question. I always put a clipper first. And the reason for that is I use my clipper as sort of a saturation and loudness generating plugin. Perceived loudness, I should say. Whereas the limiter is a little bit more transparent, and that's just final loudness. I always like putting the clipper first, and I always like doing a little bit of oversampling within the clipper plugin as well. Just like 2x in standard clip. Yep, when and where to use standard clip. Yeah, that's exactly it. Just before your final limiter. And I like using the, what's it called? Soft Clip Pro algorithm. That's such a nice distortion. That's my favorite standard clip setting right there. Great question. Can you use the same room for mixing, mastering, and recording vocals? I would say yes. A lot of studios have a vocal booth, and people renting them out plop a mic in the engineer room, like the control room anyways. Sometimes having that communication with your collaborators and your engineer without having to worry about stepping on a talkback button before you speak and all those extra cumbersome steps just makes the creative workflow better. And acoustically, the same treatment works great for both. There's so much overlap. So the way you treat a room for mixing is almost likely going to sound perfect for recording your mic too. Great question. Let me scroll down and find some new ones. Let's see. What's the best way to come up with unique chord progressions? Honestly, I wouldn't even worry about making a chord progression unique. I would worry about making the sound that's playing unique or the way that it's voiced unique. Like, is the chord strummed? Is it arpeggiated? Is it like chopped up in some way? I would worry more about the presentation and sound design that the chord is triggering rather than making the chord itself unique. Because common chords can sound awesome with the right sound and the right song around it. So don't worry about making your chord progression so unique. In fact, there's so many songs that use the same 3-chord progression, 4-chord progression over and over again, and nobody even thinks twice about it. So find the uniqueness in the synth or the way you process a piano or whatever the instrument might be. Great question. Let's see what else we got here. What do you do when you don't feel motivated? How do you stay creative? When I don't feel motivated, I use that as a sign to switch to something else. I have multiple things in my life, so that music is not the only outlet. There's video creation, there's live streaming and hanging out with you guys. What else? I like jujitsu. I like going for walks. I like swimming in a pool. There's just so many other outlets and things that can help you creatively reset. Now, let's say you're like looking for sonic inspiration, like you're ready to sit there at the desk, you want to crank out something awesome. How can you find inspiration just out of nowhere? This is where I would go and look to other pieces of work. Maybe you can put an a cappella from some popular song in there and produce a song around it. Using that vocal as an inspiration to cue arrangements and different cadences and switch ups in your beat can be exactly what you were missing. Whereas trying to produce a beat out of silence can be a little tricky. So go find an a cappella. It doesn't have to be a clean studio a cappella. You're gonna mute it anyways and make your own song. What are your thoughts on AI being used for music production, like producing and editing and mixing? Great question. I don't think AI is really a bad thing for music production. I use the Photoshop analogy all the time. Photoshop just implemented a bunch of AI
features too. And people made the same speculations asking, does this mean that graphic designers and photo editors are going to be out of a job? No, it absolutely doesn't. It just means that the people who only have a little bit of knowledge will be able to get like medium to good results, whereas they used to be able to get no results at all. But the people who were always good at yielding nice results, AI didn't really like improve their results much. And their results are already way better than what AI is putting out. So it changed the game for people who don't know anything, but nothing really changed for people who are already pretty good. Just like with Photoshop AI. So I don't think anybody lost their job. I think people just waste less time doing dumb stuff. Like when I made this thumbnail, if there was like a light stand or something like that in the background that I didn't want in the thumbnail, just highlight it and say remove light stand. Boom. That would have took me 15 minutes otherwise, but now it took me 15 seconds. And I think for music, it's the exact same thing. You know, if you want a loop that you don't have access to, or you want to sample a song that you don't have access to, why not? Someone asked, how am I streaming? Well, my camera is plugged into OBS, and so is my mic. And then that's all funneled into YouTube. And yeah, if you're curious about the camera, I'm using a Sony FX3. Based on modern mastering engineer and modern mindset for industry in nowadays era, what do you think is important? Is it loud mastering? Yeah. I know a lot of people are going to kind of find this opinion, I don't know, maybe disappointing, because a lot of people were excited when they're like, yay, the loudness wars are over. But yeah, no, being loud is still definitely better. Because if your mix is loud and somebody else's mix is quieter, the quieter person is not going to sound better on a streaming platform. The louder person is still going to sound louder. So louder is still always better. You just have to know that there's a ceiling that everybody has to exist under. And you could still be loud under that ceiling. That's more of like a mixing. But honestly, loudness, in my opinion, comes from the mix, not the master. But I know when you're mastering, you're talking all about loudness, so it's hard not to ask questions in that context. What are the best ways in 2024 to get noticed as a mixing engineer by some bigger eyes beyond your hometown? Well, that would 100% be social media reach out. There's an endless feed of artists who are engineering their own stuff who wouldn't mind having somebody reaching out and offering their services for free or for a small fee or whatever it may be. Always, if you're doing reach out and you're a beginner, I always say start for free. But if you have some sort of a reputation, you know, maybe you're beyond doing things for free, and that's okay. But leveraging social media is the way. It's the best way. It's kind of the only way nowadays. Minito says, hello, my brother. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Actually, you know what? Let's play the intro music one more time. It's been a minute. Hey, hey, hey. We got the interlude music now. Realest live stream in the game. Yeah, realest live stream in the game. These other live streams not the same. These other live streamers are lame. I'm the realest live stream in the game. Hey, hey. That's right, everybody. We're answering your questions live on YouTube. It's my first live stream back, and you know what? We're spicing it up with the hottest beat in the game. That's right. Boom. We'll just cut it right there. Always got to hit you with that flash freestyle. Last Lake says, thank you for your answer. Thank you for your viewership. I mean, to think that you guys are watching a puppet live stream on YouTube, I should be the ones thanking you guys, because honestly, that's just ridiculous to even say out loud. The harmonicist says, thank you for your videos. Very insightful. Question. What's the ideal LUFS number to mix? I usually mix between -10 to -11. Is this the right way? Yeah, absolutely. If you're hitting -9, You're doing really good. Maybe use your master chain to get that last one LUFS out of your mix, but don't use mastering to go from like -14 to -9. Use mixing to get your loudness up there. And mastering should just be like the little finishing touch. Frankie said, I love the theme song. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's actually made with a special unreleased exclusive 808 plugin that I've been beta testing. And I don't even know how much I can spill about it other than that, but I can't wait to share it. Great questions today, by the way, guys. How do you know when to use a regular EQ or to EQ with saturation and harmonics? This is a great question. In my workflow, I use regular EQ for subtractive things, and I use harmonics for additive things. So if my vocal has too many plosives or unnecessary low end in it, I'm going straight to the EQ for a low cut. However, if my vocal needs a little bit more bite in the mid-range or sizzle in the high end, I'm going for saturation. I'm not really a fan of boosting with EQ. I think it sounds harsh very quickly. But I'm a huge fan of saturation that makes things sound right, or saturation that makes the mid-range have some bite. So that's my mentality. Yeah, someone said -9 LUFS unless it's an EDM song and you want it to look like a brick. That's true. EDM can easily go past -9, and even though the waveform looks like a brick, it might still sound good. Like, for example, tech house songs, they can get loud. But tech house songs are also mostly drums, so, I mean, it's all drums. It's going to sound dynamic no matter how loud you make it. Can I send an Ableton session to someone using Pro Tools while allowing the plugins that I use to load in their Pro Tools session? Well, no. No DAW really offers cross-compatibility like that. They're all built so differently from the ground up. You know, they're all made by different people, and each person probably kind of carves their own path through coding together a DAW. So naturally, they wouldn't have very good conversion from one to the other. So I would strip away as many plugins as you can and just take note of what they were and reapply them to the stems in Pro Tools so that when your engineer opens the session, there's some processing for them to edit, but there's also some Ableton work that's completely printed and committed to. Don't have commitment issues. It's okay to print stuff. It's okay to like commit to your Ableton work and then go into Pro Tools with a fresh slate and apply more plugins on top of that. Great question, though. I wish someone would make a bridge. That would be kind of handy. But there's like so many features in Ableton, like audio effect racks. How would Pro Tools even like interpret that? Turn into a mess. Karak says, salutes from Switzerland. Greetings from Las Vegas. It's October and we are still sweating out here. It's unbelievable, the heat that you get. Sis Mike says, Reid, I love your UAD sauces. Are you planning on updating any of those products? Well, I was planning on doing UAD Spark sauce because I know a lot of people subscribe to these Spark plugins, but there's just not that many plugins in the catalog yet. So obviously that'll change over time and then my preset will come. But until they add a few more plugins, like you can't even like master a song with UAD Spark yet. There's no mastering plugins yet. And the vocal plugins are kind of limited. I would hate to put it out and then they drop a bunch of updates and then all of a sudden I have to change it and like drop a huge update. So I'm just kind of waiting until they make a bigger catalog. So at the moment, there's no new UAD plugin sauces coming. I am, however, working on a new course. I was mentioned this earlier, but for anybody who just joined us, I have a Melodyne course coming up that I'm almost done with the editing on. And part 1 is how to Melodyne bad singing and make it sound good. And part 2 is how to Melodyne good singing and make it sound just flawless and natural. So it's going to be over a 90-minute course, and that's going to be at wholeloops.com soon. But right now we just have the Auto-Tune Pro Graph Mode course. And it's a bestseller. It's a smash hit. If you want to learn how to tune your vocals, I cannot recommend that course enough. Would you recommend Mix with the Masters or Pure Mix subscription? Honestly, my favorite is mymixlab.com, especially if you're into dance music. Maybe if you're into rock music and bands and more acoustic genres, you might have better luck on the other websites. But if you're looking for electronic and hip hop and pop music and anything in that lane, mymixlab.com is going to be your go-to source. They post a new course every single Monday, and there's a catalog of over 180 videos for you to pick from. Really good monthly prices, too. Luke says, in England, we are freezing our nuts off. No, we were literally in the pool today, and I know in England you're not up on Fahrenheit, but it was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit today. What's the cheapest mic I can get that'll get me good results on vocals? Everybody's definition of cheap is different, but as far as budget-friendly mics that outperform their cost, anything by Lewitt is a safe choice. The LCT 440 Pure starts at $279, and I swear that mic sounds like a $1,200 mic. Anything below that, you can get very good results with a Rode NT1. I'm trying to think of what else is down there. You can get Shure SM4 is a brand new option that just dropped. That sounds very nice too. Someone suggested the Aston Spirit or Origin mic is a good cheap option. I haven't tried those yet, but I've seen people using them and they get good results. Do I master my own songs? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends. I would say about half my projects I send to Luca Predolesi for him and his assistant to master, and half of them I just do myself. Depends on the budget and the priority and how much promotion we're going to do for the song and other effort we're going to put behind it. If we're going to go the full way, yeah, we'll spend the extra few $100s and get the song mastered. I think that outside opinion is just really worth it. Even though I know my favorite master chain and I can get it sound satisfactory, and I like the way my demo masters sound, I still send it out. It's just valuable to get that extra opinion. And with mastering, there's so little room for them to mess up your song with just the finished 2-track. I think it's a no-brainer if you have a little bit of budget. It's a great learning experience too. Great questions. Someone asking, is modding your mic worth it, or does it actually work? I've never modified a mic before. It's a good question. I would love to know. Would you rather use a 2-way or 3-way monitor? No budget for me. I'd rather use a 3-way monitor. I think speakers can do a slightly better job when each cone has a designated frequency range, like a high frequency tweeter, like the ATC's behind me. You got a bass speaker, mid speaker, and a high frequency speaker, and I think they just do slightly better like that. AT2020, that's a great $100 ballpark microphone option. Great recommendation, thank you. Have you used Ableton 12's new generator like Rhythm Seed or Stacks? What are your thoughts on it? No, I have not. Honestly, the only new Ableton 12 feature I've used is Auto Shift, the Auto-Tune knockoff, and Roar, the multiband distortion plugin. Bluebird is a really great option. Yep, that's a great USB mic option. Great XLR version too. Can you suggest a $500 or less condenser microphone? Yeah, I would say anything by Lewitt is going to be a great option. You really can't go wrong. If you specifically want a $500 microphone and not something slightly cheaper like the Lewitts are like $300, $200 ballpark, $500, the Slate ML1 is an excellent choice. Let's see, what else is good in the $500 range? The Shure SM7B is in that price range, but I'd say that mic is better on spoken dialogue rather than singing. People who sing extremely loud like the SM7B, but people who kind of sing quiet and delicately tend to not like it. What saturation plugins do you like the most on vocals? I really like Lo-Fi, the stock Pro Tools plugin on vocals. I really like Alkane by California Dynamic. That's a great third-party plugin. And the tube distortion in particular sounds really good on vocals. If you're an Ableton user, Roar, the stock plugin, excellent on vocals. If you're looking for something that makes it easy to use distortion as an EQ, Spectra. Super easy for that. And man, it sounds good. What distributor do you use? Honestly, DistroKid. Haven't had like amazing experience, but I also haven't had horrible experience. So DistroKid. What 3 things could Ableton improve, add, or change that would make it 100% untouchable? That's kind of easy. I would say adding a few more tricks to the piano roll, like a way to paint in pre-stacked chords of MIDI, or I think just anything FL Studio has in the piano roll that Ableton doesn't would be a welcome addition. Let's see, another option I'd like to see in Ableton. Good question. Maybe more instruments that aren't like bleepy bloop synths. I feel like there's a big deficiency of acoustic, orchestral, guitar, anything. Like Logic has a great collection. Reason has a great collection. Even Pro Tools has a decent collection inside of Expand. I feel like there's kind of just a deficiency of real instruments inside of Ableton. And then the third thing would be the ability to capture audio that you weren't recording. They let you do that with MIDI. You press that little square button at the top and it'll capture whatever you just played on your MIDI keyboard, even if you weren't recording. Pro Tools does that for audio. And honestly, that is the one untouchable reason why Pro Tools will always be industry standard for audio recording, because it's the only DAW that is intelligently recording your mic in the background when you're not recording. Like if you hit the space bar and the beat is playing, your singer's singing, and you hit the punch button and it's too late, they've already started singing, you could like stretch the beginning of the recording back to get what you missed. And I think Ableton and every other DAW is missing that, except for Pro Tools. Thoughts on warm audio gear? You know, it's a good place to start if you want to learn how to track through compression. I'm a fan of their LA2A. I think that's a decent piece. I haven't tried any of their TubeTech emulations. I've tried the 1176. It's good as well. It's good. It's not amazing, but it is good. And I think having physical preamp and compressor on the way in so that your vocal signal is a little bit controlled on the way into your interface is good. So I would say go for it. It's a great first choice. It was actually my first choice too. Do you think a subwoofer is a must for an advanced engineer? No, not necessarily. It's fun and it's nice, but you could do without it. I've used a sub, but for the most part, I don't use a sub. I don't have one here set up in my studio today. Hey, speaking of sub. Yeah. A little musical interlude. Yeah. This beat goes hard. Someone asked if I've tried the new Lewitt that gets rid of the proximity effect. Yes, I have. That mic is amazing. I'll just keep this playing in the background. I feel like this is fun. It just makes the Q&A a little bit more hype. Do you think mixing needs to be more scientific or just whatever sounds good is good? Great question. I think whatever sounds good is good. I'm not a fan of making mixing all scientific and like measuring stuff. In fact, I didn't even use an analyzer for like the first 10 years of my career. I didn't analyze or measure a single thing. So don't worry. Oh, hang on. Don't need the beat to loop around again. Don't worry about being scientific and analytical while you're mixing. Just worry about the feeling. Is the song encouraging you to get up out of your computer chair and dance? That's what I'm worried about. That's the science I'm thinking about. What microphone do I use for my content? Man, I switch mics all the time because I'm reviewing various products and making certain challenges where it's like, can I make a good vocal on a budget? So if I didn't have to change anything, I'd probably just leave my Telefunken 251 up all the time. I've recorded the most voiceovers recently with that microphone, but like I said, on a budget, these Lewitt microphones, I really like using them. Especially when you don't have to worry about like a $12,000 object falling off the microphone stand. You just care less. And there's something good about caring less when it comes to music. I'd like a way to separate stems in Ableton. That's a great feature request. Ableton is so big for remixing, I'm surprised that they're not even introducing that. But who knows? Maybe Ableton 12.5 will introduce that. Because usually when it's like a 0.5 update, they add some like menu options and things that are like hidden in a right-click menu. And I feel like stem separation could come in one of those updates. So I haven't lost all faith that it's coming, but yeah, it might not happen in Ableton 12. Is a Neve VR48 console worth having these days? I would say a mic preamp, if that's what you're using it for, is always worth having. For mixing, arguably no. You could do really good mixes with just plugins in the box. But when it comes to getting a mic to sound its best, the little microscopic preamps inside an audio interface pale in comparison to a full-size, like 19-inch rack mic preamp channel. One huge box for one microphone signal is just way more robust and hefty sonically than going through a little preamp. And honestly, that's the reason I don't trust 500 series gear. Because it's like, how'd they get it so little? What important thing did they delete to get it to fit into this little lunchbox? But that's neither here nor there. Great questions. You guys are really on it with the questions. Thoughts on the Neumann U87 mic, the Neve 1073, and the LA2A plugins? Okay, I guess that's a three-part question. The Neumann U87 mic, I think, is extremely heavy in the mid-range. And it's not flattering on a lot of the voices that I record, so I don't use it that much. Certain voices that, like maybe someone who has like a very shouty voice might sound great through a U87. Like people always reference, oh, Tupac used a U87 a lot. And I would claim that's a perfect example of a very shouty voice that would pair perfectly with such a mid-range heavy mic. But I would say the vocals that I record are slightly more delicate, and I get better options from a tube condenser rather than like a solid state mic like that. Oh, so the next part of that question, Neve 1073. I think that's everybody's favorite mic preamp for a good reason. You can't go wrong with it. Even the Neve 1073 emulations, like I use the BAE 1073, great choice. LA2A compressor plugins, I actually have a real LA2A compressor here in my desk, and you're actually hearing my mic through it right now. You guys are hearing the LA2A, the real one, the hardware, on my live stream mic as we speak. And the plugins sound great too. If I had to choose, I would use the UAD LA2A Silver. And my second favorite is the CLA2A. Excellent questions, guys. Oh, LA2A plugin. Oh, I just answered that one. What are 3 tips to learn music production at a faster rate? The 10,000 hours, is that true to become a pro? Yes. Unfortunately, there is no shortcuts for learning. There are a lot of products that try and sell you a shortcut for learning. There are a lot of courses that try and sell you a shortcut for learning. And none of them are a shortcut for having the information absorbed deeply into your memory like a pro. I think what makes a professional is their ability to move without thinking. And when you're learning, you just have to think about what you just learned. It's not muscle memory yet. So don't try and skip the learning curve. Just pick something to stick to so that you actually make it through the learning curve. For example, a lot of people constantly reconfigure their speakers or like recalibrate their speakers, or they're constantly changing the acoustic treatment in their room, trying to get a different result, hoping that it avoids the learning process. But you're better off just setting something up and sticking with it and getting used to it rather than nitpicking it in hopes to avoid the familiarity of it. That song you sang in the auto-tune video had me singing it for the rest of the day. I could not get it out of my head. Glad to hear that. I got more coming up. I got some Melodyne tutorials coming up, though. So we're taking a break from auto-tune and switching to Melodyne for a bit. Someone said, how are you streaming? I got my FX3 plugged into OBS through a capture card. And then OBS is pumping into YouTube. And then YouTube is pumping into your face. Let's see. That vocal template Kara did is the best, and I always have it loaded already by default in a new project. I would say that's very wise to have your template as your default project, because that just skips the barrier to entry of just like getting started recording. And by the way, thank you for choosing the vocal template at imkara.com. I'm sure she really appreciates that. If you're not familiar, she has the best vocal templates for all the best DAWs. All 7 of the top most popular DAWs available at imkara.com as a stock plugin vocal template with a course included. So not only do you get the template, but you get a video about exactly how it was set up, why every plugin is there, and how it got the way it was. It's just a well-rounded educational experience with a helpful takeaway that you could use in every project going forward. We even use that plugin template when we're not using stock plugins. You could just swipe away the stock plugins and replace it with Slate plugins or whatever you use. Super easy. Great question. Eli Ram Posner says, Reid, I put out my first single this week, or a week ago. So congratulations. Great job. Getting your first song out is something that a lot of people, they never even make it to that step. So that's worth congratulating in and of itself. Luke says, I like the Focusrite Claret. It was cheap and sounded good enough to me. I agree. Focusrite is high sound quality for the price. Especially the new Scarletts. Goodness, those things sound good. Hey Reid, I noticed you don't place the HS8s on the higher monitors. How do you keep your cats off them now? Honestly, my cats aren't really so much on the speakers recently. That was kind of like when they were younger. They were just hyper and going crazy. But now a couple of years has passed and they're a little more mature and relaxed. They're more... actually, I need to figure out how to keep them off the computer chairs. That's more of the issue nowadays, is the computer chairs. A lot of people are agreeing the Ableton stem separator would be a due and welcome update. Couldn't agree more. Isaiah says, hey Reid, I'm a beginner at music production. I'm starting to use BandLab, but it's very confusing. And I don't know how to use it. What should I do? Well, I have some full-length beat-making tutorials and vocal recording tutorials on my channel. So obviously, if you haven't checked those out yet, I highly recommend it. But practice makes perfect. I mean, you really have to pick one thing to try and tackle. It's tough making a whole song from scratch because you got to cook up a beat and then you got to write lyrics over it and then you got to record it and mix it. And it's easy to get lost. So just break it down. Like, just focus on vocal production, sing over a finished beat, or just focus on music production. Just figure out how to compile your first loops. So just break down the steps. Don't try and finish a finished song all the way right out of the gate. Let's see. A few people asking about plugins I've tried. The Kirchhoff EQ, I haven't tried that one. And the next question about the Unfairchild plugin, I haven't tried that one either. Sorry, guys. The Golden Age 1073, unfortunately, haven't used that one either. But I would imagine any 1073 emulation will be a huge upgrade over a basic preamp inside an audio interface. A shortcut for learning is to get great monitors. Well, I'd say the learning curve is exactly the same whether you have good monitors, great monitors, or bad monitors. You have to know what to expect, period. I mean, there's no listening situation that you could set up with your acoustics or your room or your speakers or anything that bypasses the need to learn. That's just my opinion. I don't know. So maybe some other marketing will say otherwise, but it's just how I feel. Do I use Slate VSX at all anymore? Honestly, I use the headphones more than I use like the VSX software. If I'm using like a headphone correction software, I've probably used one that lets me use any pair of headphones I like. When I'm mixing and mastering, I really like open back headphones. And when I'm tracking a singer, I want the singer to wear closed back headphones. So honestly, my Slate closed back headphones, the VSX, get used more when a singer is singing. Viewer asks, I want to get a Mac laptop for creativity, music production being the main thing. What's a good option? I'm scared to get the cheapest one that it won't be powerful enough. Nowadays, any MacBook Pro is going to be powerful enough. I would recommend not getting the cheapest one, but if you can get an M1 MacBook Pro, that's what I'm using. Holy smokes, is that thing fast. You could probably get a pre-owned M1 MacBook Pro now that people have M2 and M3. There's a lot of people, especially in the video production industry, who are upgrading their laptop. For music production, the M1 actually works a little bit better than M2 and M3. So take advantage of that fact because you can get a better price just going back a couple years. You guys are killing it with the questions. Let's see. Reid, have you ever or would you produce any heavy dubstep or trap? No. I don't know. It's not really my bag. To sit there and like make all those different synths would just not be fun for me. I really like songs that host vocals. And I don't know. Vocals over dubstep it's so sporadic. You know, I like vocal-centric songs, not really like drop and beat-centric songs. Good question. Someone says, yeah, the V3 and V4 Scarlets are nice. Yeah, the 4th gens are just killer. Any tips for mastering an album? Well, when it comes to album mastering, more important than being competitively loud is having all the songs sound the same level when you skip between them. So when you check your album, drop them all into iTunes or whatever app you can hear them all side by side and just skip through them and hit the next button and go back and forth a few times and make sure nothing jumps out. That's the number one album mastering tip, is worry more about consistency rather than like loudness. Because if you have them in it for the long run and they're listening to a whole album, they'll turn up the volume knob on their speakers if they want. You don't need to be loud, per se. For singles, I would say it's more important to be like competitive against other songs. Someone asks, is the Pro Tools MIDI workflow really bad? No, I wouldn't say it's really bad. It just doesn't have deep features to discover and like tons of menus to go like, oh, wow. You know, like it's just the basics. But if that's all you need, like if you're an amazing keyboard player, you don't need all these like special click it in fancy features. You're just playing the keyboard and killing it. And like you weren't gonna use those like pre-made chords anyways. So I know a lot of producers, The producers who use Pro Tools tend to also be good musicians and be good at recording performances on instruments, because Pro Tools is excellent for that. But when it comes to people who are like click it in and don't play it in, they love FL Studio and Ableton or Logic or any of the other ones pretty much. Someone said you have to hear the correct source. That's a great point. When you're checking your monitors and developing your ear, it's important to listen to hits, songs that are known to work. If you just go back and open up your project, man, how do I know if it's good? How do I know if it's right? You got to hear other people's work that's tried and true. What's your thoughts on the Quantum HD2? Man, that is a fantastic $500 ballpark dollar interface. I don't know. I don't remember if it's $499 or $5. I think it's $499. I think it's exactly $500 ish. Excellent, excellent deal. 32-bit converters, sign me up. That sounds great. I think it's a really well-made product. I wish it had another headphone output, but it's an HD2. It's not an HD4. The HD4 has 2 headphone outputs. How long have you been producing music? I think I made my first beats in like 2006 or 7. And then I posted my first beat making tutorial on YouTube in 2012. And then I took a long break for like 4 years. I didn't make any tutorials. I was just busy doing original music. But then 2016, I really fired up the YouTube channel, and the Realest Puppet in the Game became a regular show. Hey! That being said, let's fire the music just to get the energy up one more time. Yeah. Realest Puppet in the Game. These other live streamers are lame. These other live streams not the same. Cause I'm the realest puppet in the game. Hey, leave your questions down below. I will read them for show. I will answer them, Realest Puppet got the glow. Boom. Always gotta hit you with a quick freestyle. Y'all, you guys didn't know I could freestyle, did you? Always bringing that new stuff to the table. Someone asked if I tried UJam's free reverb yet. Not yet. But I have been beta testing an upcoming UJam 808 instrument, and woo, is it good. It's going to be called Subcraft. And I don't know if I could share any other details yet, because it's not out for another few days. But I do have a fire video that will get posted when the plugin comes out for you to get an idea of what it sounds like. I actually used it in this beat. The 808 in this very track was used with it, but I can't pull it up and show you. Someone said songs that actually have a melody instead of a series of serum presets. Well, yeah, not to show, I'm not, my answer wasn't to like throw shade on dubstep. It's just, I don't have the patience for all that sound design. It's not that like, I don't like serum preset music. I think it's very impressive. I don't have the patience to sit there and like, be like, okay, I've made 6 so far. My drop's almost done. I need like 6 more wobbly wubs. And then we got ourselves a drop. I don't know. I like audio sampling too much. That's another thing. I have so much fun sampling audio that making synth blops and bloops somehow just doesn't seem as fun to me. Maybe it's like the quicker gratification of like dropping something into a sampler and just playing it. Let's see some other questions. I'll get to a few more questions before we wrap up the live stream. You guys have been just killing it. Microphone approximately $1,000 and $2,000 for vocals. Let's see. So if you have a $1,000 to $2,000 budget, my top recommendations would be the Lewitt Pure Tube. That's $1,200. The Sony C100, I think it's called. That's like $1,200. It's a little tiny microphone. Universal Audio has a pretty faithful emulation of the Telefunken, but you know what? I don't remember if that's under $2,000 now that I think about it. might be over. So you know what? Those are my top 2 recommendations. Lewitt Pure Tube and Sony C100.
Is battery for drums good? Yes, especially if you have a DAW that doesn't have like a good sampler, you'll love having battery.
And it comes with really fun drum kits too. So if you're not a huge drum kit collector, you'll appreciate the big library for you to scroll through.
Goofy Jester says, never seen you live. Well, welcome to the Realest live stream in the game. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to go through that again. What kind of advice could you give to people when they decide to start buying analog gear? And what gear would you combine in a recording session to get great vocals?
Oh, this is a 2-parter. All right, so if you are getting your first analog gear, do not worry about mixing gear. You are going to drain your bank account so much faster than you have to, and your results are going to be relatively underwhelming compared to what you just paid for. Whereas if you purchase recording gear, you are going to be sitting there thinking, holy smokes, every microphone I plug in sounds so clean. The sweet spot is so wide. And these mics sound way expensive beyond their price point when I run it through a full-size preamp and a touch of compression on the way in. I am a firm believer in good in equals good out. And having a mic go raw straight into an interface can leave you with very spiky dynamics. And personally, I worry more about the dynamics when I'm tracking vocals than I do about the tone. Everybody is like so caught up on bright vocals, dark vocals, having like the tonality of it be something specific. Whereas me, I'm worried about the dynamics being a smooth ride. I think the number one dead giveaway of amateur vocal recordings is spiky dynamics. That's when you have huge spikes in your waveform and it's just noticeable. Even if it's not clipping, spiky dynamics are noticeable and it makes vocals sound amateur, in my opinion. More so than EQing and tone and low cutting and all that stuff. So what I think makes hardware work wonders is your preamp is using saturation to control your dynamics. So you're still getting the loudness, but you're not getting like the spikes on the audio signal level. And then to even further control it, you're going to put a compressor, like a 2-to-1 ratio, just barely moving the needle after that. And now your signal is so thick and clear and consistent, and it's not going to clip. It's never going to be too quiet. And every single mic is just going to feel like it works so much better than it did before going straight into an interface. So sorry, that was a long answer, but that is, I will stand by my analog gear till the end of time for that reason. Sending a raw spiky signal into your interface and having the converters work and convert with that spiky signal is not the best. I'd rather have it be like a nice thick signal.
What up, Sky Jordan? Welcome to the live stream. What's up? What's up? Love to see some fellow content creators in the chat. It's been so long since I've streamed. It's hard. It's been almost a year, to say the least. It's been a while. Let's see. Let's get a couple more good questions in here. What tube mic would you recommend instead of U87?
Oh, I 100% Lewitt Pure Tube. I did a comparison of the Pure Tube versus the Telefunken 251. We posted it on Kara's channel. Man, it was hard to pick which one was which. A lot of the viewers thought that the Lewitt sounded more expensive, and it's only like a $1,200 mic. Go for the Lewitt Pure Tube. Great tube mic choice for around $1,000.
Let's see. Neve plus SSL plus Neumann. I guess that's somebody else's chain. That's probably a great choice. I bet you that sounds good. Let's see. Someone says, I feel like there's a placebo as a bedroom producer, where I couldn't imagine the snare drum samples I'm scrolling through could actually end up in a Spotify or in a music or any actual song. That's a skill in itself. Sample selection
is the ability to imagine the rest of the song around the sample. Or also to imagine what that raw sample would sound like after being manipulated. Pitched up a little bit, pitched down a little bit. That is a skill that your ear only develops through years and years of just messing around with stuff. As a beginner, every snare is just going to sound like doop, doop, beep, boop. And it's like, man, these all just sound so goofy. But yeah, it's just a snare. Like by itself, it sounds goofy. If you sit at a drum kit and you just keep whacking on the snare drum, like it's not going to ever sound like any of the cool drums that you ever enjoyed when you were a kid. So it's all about the context around it is what makes it sound cool. It's tough to like pick out a cool snare without using context around it to make it cool. Let's pick like one or two more questions. Nick says, hey Reid, thanks for the live stream. Wow, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's see. What music distribution do you suggest for independent artists? Well, honestly, they're all just kind of okay. None of them really stick out as being amazing. I've had good and bad experience with DistroKid. I've had good bad experiences with other ones. You kind of just luck of the draw. Yeah. Can't say there's a lander all the way. Okay, so let me actually, you know what? You guys let me know. I would love to hear your guys' experience. Let me know who you've used and whether or not you've had good experiences in the comments below, because I think hearing all of you guys might actually be more helpful than just what I've used, because I haven't done too much exploration. Simsy asks, is pre-delay in reverb absolutely necessary? On lead vocals, I might say it's more useful than not. And then when it comes to background vocals and ad-libs, I would say no, it's definitely not necessary. If you want the vocals like in their dry original form to still be kind of upfront and in your face, that pre-delay is exactly what's going to help you retain that clarity. But if you want to use reverb to like smudge it and put it into the background and push them back in the mix, pre-delay is not going to help that much. You actually don't want to use pre-delay. Okay, I see a lot of CD Baby shout-outs. That's good to hear. Some people have switched to DistroKid. So it said, what would you personally buy if you had a $3,000 budget and you were to redo your studio as a beginner? Okay, I'm going to obviously assume I already have a computer and a DAW. And you're just asking about like a vocal chain and interface. So $3,000 budget. Ooh, that's tough. I would probably get an Apollo Twin. So that's going to use like about $600-700 of the budget, maybe $800, depending on which one you get. And then I would get the Lewitt Pure Tube microphone. That's like $1,200. So then you have about $1,000 to spend on a microphone preamp. And then I would probably just skip the compressor. I would just go for them. Any like Great River or anybody who makes a 1073 emulation under that $1,000 remainder is who I'd go for my preamp. And then I would just use plugins for my compressor. If I had a budget to stretch a little bit more, I would get a compressor in the chain as well. I really only use analog gear as as recording equipment. I never use it as mixing. Hardly ever. Hardly ever use it for mastering either. I just want my mic to sound great. I love that question, though. I love those like setup challenges. Do you monitor control stations color the sound of monitors, or do you have a monitor control that you recommend? I just kind of use whatever sound my monitors put out and trust that it's good. I can't say for certain that it's flat. I'm sure if I measured it, it wouldn't be flat, but I would assume that the ATC engineers that made these speakers did a pretty good job making it like a safe listening experience without any further processing. If I had cheaper speakers, maybe I'd dive into the processing and the speaker correction, or if I didn't have like a well-treated room, I would do that too. What do you think about the Neve MBT? I think that's like the little channel where it's like a Neve and an interface all in one. I haven't tried it yet, but it sounds really good. What is a trick that you can use to make a drop sound thicker? This is a great question. Reverse reverbs on the lead synth or the lead bass or whatever it is. Reverse reverbs leading into any sound that drives your drop will make it just sound humongous. So that's number one. Number two would be sidechain everything that's not like the kick and snare, so that it does like ducking. And that makes it sound pumping. And then number three would be make sure that your buildup is quiet compared to your drop. A lot of times your buildup is full volume and then your drop is also full volume. So in comparison, it doesn't sound or feel loud. So use a long volume automation during your buildup to like bring down the input gain on your master chain and then push it back up when the drop hits. Oh, the question about monitor correction was actually about monitor control stations. No, I don't use a monitor control station. I don't even really switch monitors anymore. I just use the output on my interface and the volume knob on my interface, and I'm good to go. Let's see. Have I worked on any heavy rock records? No, I have not. What is your usual master chain in order? I always have standard clip going into a FabFilter Pro L2. The standard clip is doing some oversampling and the soft clip Pro algorithm and taming a little bit of the peaks. And then the FabFilter Pro L2 is bringing out my final loudness. And I usually switch from the modern algorithm at the bottom to either transparent or dynamic. Sometimes if it's a pop song, I put the God particle first. But for heavier EDM stuff, definitely not God particle, just the clipper and limiter. Kazarog Clip 3 is great. I got to agree, especially for the price. Really good plugin. Well, you hear the music. That means it's time for us to wrap up today's live stream. It has been so real sharing the Realest live stream in the game with you guys and answering your questions. Shout out to someone says God Particle's a great plugin. I happen to agree. I just don't use it on EDM stuff. Ozone 11 good for mastering? Yes, it is. Man, we're just slamming in the last few questions right at the buzzer. Goofy Jester says, I have over 5,000 plugins. Well, you know what? I have 10,000, so take that. I don't know, just kidding. I don't think I have 10,000. Thank you guys so much for watching today's live stream. If you want to get 50% off your next purchase at wholeloops.com, enter the exclusive flash sale promo code that you see here at the bottom of the screen, live stream, and your checkout price will be reduced by 50%. How about that? Sauce right there for you. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I'm going to catch you guys next time. Maybe I should be live streaming more. Hang on. Let me stop this music. We don't need to hear this anymore. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will catch you guys next time in another live stream. Hey.